Well, folks, Hamas, they're here. They're like in your backyard. They're people who are in your community. Pro-Hamas protesters, they're kind of in every major American city. Enormous protests across the West over the weekend. And honestly, the West should be afraid because the West has been completely and utterly taken over by enormous swaths of people who hate the West. At least it's been honeycombed. The most obvious example comes in London. 100,000 people maybe, showed up in London in relation to a pro-Hamas rally. About 11 people were arrested, but the footage shows fireworks being launched at the police. It shows British flags being yanked down. It shows every monument in London basically being taken over. And by the way, how do we know that an infiltration has taken place? Because apparently a police advisor, one of the police advisors to the Metropolitan Police, a person named Atiq Malik, who chairs the official advisory board for Scotland Yard, was leading the chant of From the River to the Sea. Again, this is a person who literally works with the Met Police. He's an advisor to the cops. And here he is chanting the genocidal slogan, From the River to the Sea.
Free, free! Free, free! So what's going on out there, people? What is actually happening? You go on BBC, ITV, do we see any of this? No, we don't. You know, you watch Sky News, do we see this? No. Even on social media, what we're seeing is when posts are going up on Insta, LinkedIn, Facebook, they're getting deleted. Why is that? What's going on? What's going on is global censorship by the Zionists. From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea!
That guy's an advisor to the cops at the Met Police, chanting that genocidal slogan. Here they were taking over Trafalgar Square. You can see them raising the Palestinian flag on the tube underground signs. You can see them climbing on the fountains in Trafalgar Square. Again, look at the size of this crowd. These are all Hamas fans because those are the people they are protesting in favor of. Remember, these protests began before Israel was even doing anything in the Gaza Strip. They are done in response deliberately to Hamas. People are climbing the fountains in Trafalgar Square. Where are the cops? Where are the police? Do they have any control of their streets over there? And this is all part and parcel of a radical series of protests that began across the world in 2020. The quote-unquote intersectional coalition, the decolonized coalition that was designed to tear apart the West. And Western liberals are too blind to see that coalition rides together. By the way, this coalition's been riding together since the 60s. Pretending that this is something new is ridiculous. The Black Panthers were standing up for Palestinian terror back in the 60s. There's nothing new under the sun. Meanwhile, fireworks were being fired at the cops in Trafalgar Square as well. It's just them shooting fireworks into the air. Some of them were shot at the cops. Protesters shut down Whitehall in Great Britain as well. As I'm walking down some of the most storied streets of London, taking over the streets. There's a lot of people who love terrorists. That is for sure. On the tube, chants broke out of From the River to the Sea. Apparently, people being harassed inside the subways as well. There is only one solution, Intifada revolution. Intifada, by the way, is a violent uprising. So this is people calling for violence in the center of London. This is what they're... And unless you believe that these people they don't like Hamas. Now, they really, really like Hamas. One counter-protester showed up with a sign that said, Hamas is terrorist. That sign was promptly ripped down. He was promptly assaulted by the crowd. Because, of course, they like Hamas. They are fully in favor of Hamas. Again, it would be very easy to make the case that Hamas is really bad, and to free the Palestinians would require that Hamas surrender. But no one's doing that, I've noticed. 0 people. No one is claiming Hamas should go away. They're all in love with Hamas. They are fine with Hamas. Pretending otherwise is ignoring the evidence of your own eyes and ears. This guy's sign ended up on the ground, ended up being torn apart by the crowd. And just in case you don't believe me, protesters were bragging about Hamas. Here are some of the protesters in London.
Hamas they're classed as a proscribed terrorist organization. Do you think the UK has made the wrong decision?
Of course. It's not Hamas the terrorist. It's America the terrorist. No, and Israel is terrorist, not Hamas.
America's
Hamas
terrorists.
Are freedom fighters. They are freedom fighters. They are not terrorists, as the media portrays them to be.
Oh, they're free. The media's portraying them. I mean, sure, they wore GoPro cameras to literally shoot children in the face. The 45-minute video that's been seen by virtually no one so far, the actual snuff video that was made by the Hamas terrorists, is so egregious and unwatchable that almost no one can watch it. And it does contain video of Hamas terrorists confronting small children wearing Disney pajamas and then shooting them directly in the head. Okay, those people, according to these people, are not terrorists. They're just misunderstood. What did this end with? Well, this ended with the next morning. There's a monument called the Cenotaph in the center of London. It's supposed to be a war memorial for the war dead in Britain, World War I and then eventually World War II. It was decorated with a bunch of wreaths. And the protesters made sure to take those wreaths and throw them on the ground because this is what they actually think of the West. It's not just about Israel. It's about you. It's anyone who believes in Western values is their enemy. That's why you heard that protester a second ago saying America is terrorist. Presumably, UK is terrorist.
The wreaths have been knocked off.
And they knocked wreaths down. By the way, British police officers during this protest were removing British flags from the streets. There were counter-protesters who showed up wearing military uniforms, veterans, presumably. They showed up with British flags, and the police told them, you need to take away your British flag so as not to offend the barbarians who are supporting Hamas.
Yeah, I've said you can hold it, you can wave it. It's just we don't just not with all that. It's not causing any sort of issues with the barriers. You have your flags, just not on the barriers. That's it.
And yet, when they march down with hundreds of Palestinian flags, you won't say a word.
We can try. There's way more of them than there is of us.
There it is. There's the key. There's way more of them than there are of us. That's the end of it. The end of it is there are way more of them than there are of us. Well, if that's the case in the West, we are screwed beyond all belief. Meanwhile, it wasn't just in London. It was also in Berlin. Thousands of pro-Palestinian protesters took to the streets of Berlin, standing in favor of Hamas. So, the Germans have been pretty good in terms of being in favor of Israel in this conflict, as well they should be, considering their past with the Jews. But they decided that there weren't enough domestic homegrown Nazis, so they imported some. So here they were marching in Berlin yesterday.
Takbir! La ilaha illallah! Muhammad Rasulullah! Muhammad Rasulullah! La ilaha illallah! La ilaha illallah!
Die sagen, ich will hier keine Scharia.
I don't want Sharia in Germany. That is nonsense. You want authentic Islam? Everyone who calls himself a Muslim must want Sharia on the whole world. I want the Sharia in Germany, definitely. Is in Germany. Would you nullify the German constitution? Definitely, definitely. How? Which one? How could you turn Germany into an Islamic state? How, for example? According to the writings, if you're in the majority, just as you explained, this young Muslim guy, we are ordered to occupy Germany. Definitely. So if you're Muslim, it's an Islamic obligation to occupy Germany. Definitely. Definitely. You're against those liberals that say, no, that's not true and we should live together in peace? Nobody forces them to be Muslim. He says it's a dispute, us or you. Either you take us over, we'll take you over. Yes, definitely. That's why this liberal Islam doesn't exist. Is there a difference between political Islam and other Islam? Am I now in political Islam when I say I want the Sharia? He says, Islam is in all areas of life. Would you say Islam has nothing to do with politics? He says, definitely not. So openly calling for the overthrow of Germany itself. This, of course, is manifesting in anti-Semitic acts all over the world. A French Jewish woman was stabbed and seriously wounded in Lyon, France. A swastika was then daubed on her door. She was 30. She has serious abdominal wounds. A masked man dressed in dark clothing rang the woman's doorbell several times, and when she answered, he stabbed her in the abdomen and then daubed a swastika on her door. So things are going amazing. And don't worry, it's in the United States as well. We are facing the threat of another looming government shutdown later this month. The administration will ultimately deal with it the same way they always do. They will blow out the spending. More spending will inevitably devalue the dollar. Protect your savings by diversifying into gold with the help of Birch Gold Group. Here's the best part. When you open an IRA with Birch Gold, for every 10 grand you spend by December 22nd, Birch Gold will send you a free gold bar. Just text BEN to 989898. Claim eligibility before Black Friday. Birch Gold can even help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold without taking any money out of pocket. And you still get the free gold bars. With an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and thousands of satisfied customers, you can count on Birch Gold to help you transition an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. Don't let your savings fall victim to the further devaluation of the dollar. Text BEN to 989898. Receive a free info kit on gold. Reclaim your eligibility before Black Friday and receive free gold bars on your qualifying purchase. Text Ben to 989898 today. Again, text Ben to 989898 and get started with my friends over at Birch Gold. It's hard to sleep these days, but whatever sleep I am getting is because of my Helix Sleep mattress. I've had my Helix Sleep mattress for, I don't know, almost a decade at this point. It's fantastic. It was personalized just for me, so it is firm but breathable, which is what I need, because if the mattress is too soft, I get back pain. If it's not breathable, I heat up at night. Well, Helix now has a new high-end collection called the Helix Elite. Helix Elite harnesses years of extensive mattress expertise to offer a truly elevated sleep experience. The Helix Elite collection includes 6 different mattress models, each tailored for specific sleep positions and firmness preferences. Go to helixsleep.com/Ben. Check out the new collection today. If you're nervous about buying a mattress online, you don't have to be. Helix has a sleep quiz. It matches your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you, because why would you buy a mattress made for somebody else? I took that Helix quiz. I was matched with a firm but breathable mattress. As I say, go to helixsleep.com/Ben. Take that 2-minute sleep quiz. Find the perfect mattress for yourself. Plus, Helix has a 10-year warranty. You get to try it for 100 nights risk-free, so you have nothing to lose. Helix is offering 20% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for my listeners today. Go to helixsleep.com/Ben. It's their best offer yet. It's not going to last long. Go to helixsleep.com/Ben and get 20% off with Helix. Better sleep starts right now. Tens of thousands of protesters showed up in Washington, D.C. to say the same things as the protesters in London and Berlin, which is to say there are literally tens of thousands of people in the United States who support Hamas, according to CNN. As Israel continues its 4th week of intense bombardment of the besieged Gaza Strip, huge crowds of protesters have gathered to call for a ceasefire in Washington, D.C., as well as in other capital cities around the globe. And they are doing exactly the same things that you are seeing from protesters all over the world. So first of all, you should see the size of the crowd. It's enormous, obviously. Huge, huge crowd. And not only that, they were doing all the same things that you would expect from a huge pro-Hamas crowd. So, for example, they were defacing American monuments, going up to American monuments, spray painting them, decorating them with Palestinian flags. This would be a statue of General Pershing, who was general of the Allied forces during World War I. This would be a guy dressed like a terrorist who's attempting to stand up on a statue of a revolutionary founder. Here's terrorists who have, people dressing like terrorists who have put Palestinian flags in the hands of war monuments and on revolutionaries. They are graffitiing Biden, Gaza, free Gaza, people covering their faces. They've decorated Ben Franklin with the Palestinian flag, which would be kind of astonishing, I think, to the founders. Here they are putting a keffiyeh, the terrorist symbol, on Ben Franklin. Hard to think of anyone who would be less in favor of the keffiyeh than Ben Franklin, but it doesn't matter. Where are the cops, by the way? Where are the police? This person, of course, has covered his face. These are the people walking your streets, folks. These are the people in America. Many of them imported, many of them left-wing allies. This is the coalition of people who hate Western civilization and wish to see it torn down, and they're just using the latest convenient excuse, which is Israel. Pro-Hamas protesters were chanting, "We don't want 2 states, we want 48, which is to say, 48 was the establishment of the state of Israel. They want that reversed. Again, they just say all the quiet parts out loud and then wait for pseudo-sophisticates like Nick Kristof or Thomas Friedman or Barack Obama to pretend moral equivalence. I mean, after all, can we really take sides? One side says they wish to destroy all the Jews and destroy the state of Israel. The other side says we would like to have peace, but we don't have a peace partner. Can't we find a middle ground? Can't we find a middle ground between this guy who wants to murder this guy and this guy who doesn't want to be murdered? What can this guy give over here? Here's these morally destitute people chanting about the destruction of the state of Israel.
We don't want no Tuesday. We don't want no Tuesday. We want 48. We want 48. We don't want no Tuesday.
Just openly chanting this sort of stuff, right?
We want 48. We want 48.
They again, openly chanting for what they want. But obviously, Israel, the problem is, it's so complex. It's just so complex. Meanwhile, pro-Hamas protesters decided to scale the White House fence, which looks kind of insurrectionary. I noticed. There are only 11 arrests, apparently. Climbing the White House fence. And not only that, they had Biden staffers who joined the protest, of course, because the Democratic Party has been thoroughly seeded with people with no moral calculus whatsoever.
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
It says, Biden, your staff demands a ceasefire. These are all federal staffers, and these are congressional staffers, all of whom are standing with Hamas. Are you tired of the lies and the twists of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Facts, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.